Hi, it's me, Daphne. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you about the books that I swapped with my friend Maddie. So Maddie used to live in my building where I currently live right now, but she moved away to Brooklyn not that long ago. And before she moved, she wanted to unhaul a handful of books. So I suggested that we do a little swap because I had some books that I was no longer interested in keeping in my home library. So we did a swaparoo. We did a little trade, and now I have 9 books from her that I am excited to talk to you about. So some of these books are familiar to me. I've seen them at the shops. They're books that have been talked about a lot online, books that I was interested in previously but just haven't felt the need to buy them myself yet. So it was really exciting to get these for free from a friend for a little trade. And then some of these other books I've never heard of before. So it's interesting to see what kind of books attracted my friend to buy and see a little bit more of her personality, but also with the consideration that she didn't want to keep these books. I think the consensus is that some of these books that she's attracted to are sad 30s something middle-aged women books. And it's just a running joke between the two of us. Not all of them are like that, but some of them are. Those are the books that I wouldn't have normally picked up. But enough rambling, let me show you the books. So the first one I have here is a classic on BookTube. I have Six of Crows, which is a heist story. I've actually watched 1.5 seasons of the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix, so I have an idea of what Six of Crows is about. I know they kind of blended the Shadow and Bones trilogy with this duet. I believe it's just a duet. So this is about 6 dangerous outcasts and 1 impossible heist and this fantasy world. So interested to see how I like it. It's got some cool imaging in here and all that. So I'm very excited to add this to my collection, and I'll read this at some point, but I'm not in a rush. The next book I'm actually super excited to get to, and it's really not that long. As you can see, it's Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is another amazing staple on BookTube. This is a Japanese translated work, and it has this magical realism aspect where people visit this coffee shop and they are able to travel back in time. They order a coffee and they can stay in the past for as long as their coffee is warm. So that's where the Before the Coffee Gets Cold title comes from. And I've heard it's really heartfelt, sad, emotional, beautiful. And I think there's 4 books in the series now at this point. So I'm very intrigued with this, very excited to get to it. And thank you, Maddie. This next book I've seen in the shops a ton. It's called No One Is Talking About This. It was shortlisted for the 2021 Booker Prize. I really couldn't tell you anything about it previously. I've read through the back, but before, and just based on the title, I had no idea what this book was about. But apparently this woman is some kind of social media travel vlogger person, but she finds this portal, this magical portal, and then her life starts falling apart. Something's going wrong with her mother, something's gone wrong, how soon can you get here? Real life and its stakes collide with absurd antics of this portal. So it just sounds kind of trippy, and I'm intrigued. I wonder what this portal is doing and how this woman is utilizing it, and I don't know, what kind of antics could it be? Very interesting. It's also encouraging to me and intriguing to me when a book is shortlisted or wins a prize. And then speaking of awards and prizes, this next book is a National Book Award winner, and it's Tokyo Ueno Station. This is about a surreal, moving story of a homeless ghost who haunts one of Tokyo's busiest train station. This sounds really intriguing to me. This book is definitely something that Chase would love. He loves Tokyo culture, Japanese culture, when it comes to books, Asian culture broadly as well. So this would be a fun one to read together. It's also very short, so it's fun to read books with Chase. He doesn't make a lot of time to necessarily read because he's busy with work, he's tired, he works out a lot, all this stuff, but occasionally we can read books together when I read it out loud and he can just relax and listen. So that works for us. It's really cute. I'd recommend it. And this would be perfect for that. So I have that on my to-do list to hopefully convince him to do with me. Next, I have Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. So this is another like classic mystery book. I read one Agatha Christie in the past. It was Death on the Nile, and I didn't love it. I wasn't in love with the writing style. I thought it was just a lot of talking, not a lot of exposition, I guess you would call it. Like not a lot of description of where we were and our surroundings and like things like that. It was just a lot of like talking, and I felt like the mystery was solved just based on words and not as much on evidence for Death on the Nile. But for this, I'm intrigued still. I mean, Agatha Christie is a gray area for me. Like she had some really questionable racist things in her books, and this book in particular. So originally this was called 10 Little Indians, and then in the UK it was printed as 10 Little N-Words, which is not cool at all. But like, I have it, and I just want to know like why people love these books so much. And like, we can take things with a little bit of a grain of salt, understand that like this dead bitch was an asshole, but like I could still enjoy aspects of her story and not have to be so defensive all the time. You know, not that I'm defensive all the time, but like people don't necessarily need to be defensive all the time. It's a questionable situation, okay guys? I'd be really interested to see discussions on like books like this and media like this where you can hate the author, but like you could still enjoy the story, or like you can still take enjoyment out of parts of the story. So I'm intrigued. I don't know. It's an interesting discussion. So I'm gonna read it at some point. It's a beloved story for a reason, even, you know, hopefully not because of the questionable parts. I'm sure they're very small and minor, hopefully. But yeah, I have this, intrigued, and I enjoy the edition that I have. Now we're moving into sad woman, 30-year-old plus section. Some of these are definitely not books I would have normally picked up, but I have them, so maybe at some point in my life when I'm a little bit older and I still have them, maybe it'll be the right time to read this book. So yeah, the first one I have is called The Joy Luck Club. This is an Asian book about 4 Chinese women that immigrated to San Francisco and how they eat together, play mahjong, and talk, and just about their lives. It examines the sometimes painful, often tender, and always deep connection between these 4 women and their American-born daughters. So it'll be interesting to see like what it is to have children that you're raising in another country, and just like maybe the struggles with understanding each other. I don't know. I'm sure it'll have some really interesting conversations. At some point, I'm sure this book will really resonate, but I'm not in a rush to pick it up right now at this point in my life. Then I have kind of a funny premise one. So this one's called Ghosts. And it's not about ghosts, at least by the description on the back. Who knows what's like actually in the story. First off, the cover is super cute, love it. But this is about this woman who feels like she has it all. Like she's doing great. She has her own apartment. She's publishing her second book. She has a good relationship with her ex-boyfriend. She goes on a dating app, meets this really hot guy that looks like a lumberjack, floppy blonde hair, stable job, all this stuff. They have a great time. They have great chemistry, but he ghosts her. He ghosts her. And because of that, it forces this woman, Nina, to deal with a lot of things that she's been trying to ignore. So maybe like her life isn't as good as she tries to say it is. And there are things that she's like buried deep, that she's repressed. And this man ghosting her kind of opens the floodgates for things. It says she's dealing with her father's dementia. Her editor hates her new book idea, and her best friend from childhood is icing her out. So things maybe aren't as great as she was boasting about in the beginning. So this sounds kind of funny. Maybe I'll read this at some point in the next 5 years. I don't know. But I do want to do like a TBR game thing where I put all my physical books in like a TBR jar or something, so it makes me pick up books like these that are probably really entertaining and fun, but I just get distracted by like the next big romance or the next big monster romance or the next big readathon where I have to read like random other books, and it's hard to get books at the top of my list like this. So hopefully that kind of TBR thing will help me get to these kinds of books. All right, this one, my God, it's like peak sad middle-aged woman book, because just give me, I'll tell you about it. This one's called All Lovers in the Night. This is another Japanese book. And this woman, Eri, is in her 30s. She's working like the 9-to-5 life, or maybe even like longer hours, to be determined, and she's just kind of miserable. She's walking down the street one day, she sees her reflection and just sees what's described as a drab, spiritless, inert woman. And it's herself. She's looking at her own reflection and she's just not happy with what she sees. So she's really trying to change the trajectory of her life, to transform her life, but she's worried that events from her past begin to resurface and her isolation seems increasingly irreversible and complete. So she doesn't know if she will actually be able to change her life. With books like this, again, they're not romances, so there's no guarantee that she will be able to fix her life. Maybe she can't fix her life. When it's just like regular fiction, anything is an option and it doesn't have to end happily. So, I mean, for her sake, I hope she gets some kind of happiness at the end of it, but I don't know. We'll find out. All right, and then I saved this one for last because it's bizarre. It's called Gentlemen Callers, and it's just a short little blurb. Let me just read it to you. It says, every night when she goes to sleep, a woman dreams of erotic encounters with different men. She dreams of being the sponge squeezed to foaming in a gas station attendant's hand, and of twining her bare skin with an elephant's seal's thick pelt under the watchful eye of the circus trainer. From a watchmaker to a teacher, a furrier to an astrologer, each evening's new encounter is more sensual and extravagant than the last. Maddie, why did you pick up this book? What is this? What is this? That is so strange. I think I must have grabbed it because she said it was like good or like weird, and I had a good laugh when we were switching them. I don't exactly remember. We switched a little while ago. This is definitely not something I would have picked up. I would have just picked up a normal romance. Like a just fun, steamy, smutty time. This sounds like this woman has... She's a little different. I thought that was funny. So now I have it. I gotta say, the cover is cute. I love the pink and like the white border and all that stuff. It's very cute, and like these weird images. But not something I would have normally picked up. So that adds to the fun of swapping. All right, so those are all the books that I have for this haul from my friend Maddie and our little book swap. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if you have any books you think I should prioritize in this list. But that's all I have for today. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already. And I will catch you in another video. Bye.